My name is Martin. I'm a developer advocate with CarLogix. One of our previous speakers talked about Gen Z. I wrote my first program in 1983, which is the same year that Return of the Jedi came out in cinemas. And my son, who's now 6'3", once asked me when I was a child, was everything in black and white? So the answer was it wasn't. So if you fast forward through 4 decades and a couple of technical leadership roles and more bug fixes that I care to mention, I'm quite lucky enough now to have a job that lets me talk about tech in wonderful places like Amsterdam. I've been to this incredible city many times before, and it's an honor to be back here and talking to you today. But more than just talking about tech, I'm here because I've spent basically the last 20 years of my career working with development teams and ops teams and senior leadership teams, board of directors and people like that, talking to them about how we build cultures rather than just shipping code. And those cultures are around solving problems and continuous improvement and what happens to code when it goes live. Because in my view, when development teams are empowered to innovate and take ownership of the outcome, they do really amazing work. And at the heart of every successful system, there is a shared goal, and that's to create a really great user experience for your customers. And that's what we're going to explore today. As technologists, we align our day-to-day decisions based on that fundamental goal. So we're going to look at from real production signals to business-aligned service-level objectives. And that's about taking and turning good intentions into really good engineering outcomes. So as our CEO said recently, customer trust is today's most valuable business currency. And that trust is at the core of everything that I do and everything I've done in my career. And it's the trust is also at the core of everything that CarLogix does as well. And I would suggest to you that you endeavor to take great strides to make that at the core of everything you do too. So we're going to talk a little bit about OpenTelemetry because we're going to be referring to it quite a bit in this talk. And we're also going to be using the demo application as well. For those of you that don't know, OpenTelemetry is the broadly adopted standard for observability. It's free to use and it's an open source project. And it's been significant engineering investment for almost a decade. And it invites both usage and contribution because it's open source. So the framework allows for code instrumentation. And code instrumentation, in my opinion, is crucial for root cause analysis. It's crucial for problem solving and continuous improvement. And it will ultimately benefit an engineering team that wants to enhance customer user experience. So OpenTelemetry provides a comprehensive approach to observability, and it does that by integrating signals and context propagation and semantic conventions so that you get a reliable and consistent data. And this is a cloud-native computing foundation project, the same people that manage Kubernetes and manage Helm. And what it does is it simplifies observability integration into the software development lifecycle. And OpenTelemetry then offers flexible instrumentation and it supports multiple languages, and we're going to look at those. And it also allows exporting data to various backends. So OpenTelemetry then isn't just another vendor tool. It's actually a vendor-neutral open standard born from the community. It's a result of years of collaboration, and it is funded and supported by the Cloud Native Computing Foundation under the governance of the Linux Foundation. And that means it's not owned by any one single company, and that's really important. It's owned by all of us, and in my humble opinion, it is the de facto standard for observability. Hands up any of us that know how to define a service level objective. Do we have anybody? Oh, there's one person at the back. That's Andy. He's not in the room, but he definitely put his hand up, so that's cool. So I did 1980s rave music there for a brief moment. So for modern software teams that are focused on user experience, defining service level objectives should occur at the requirement gathering phase, rather than after it's been tested and deployed. If you don't have any service level objectives, the best time to have done it was at requirement gathering. The second best time to do it is today or tomorrow. Well, tomorrow's Saturday, Monday. Should be something you should think about. So service level objectives define what a satisfactory user experience is in business terms, such as a page load or an acceptable failure rate. And what they do is they act as user experience guarantees where you're setting clear goals by the product owners, and they're also measurable benchmarks for engineering teams. So service level objectives then bridge what the business needs with a technical execution without worrying about an implementation detail. So service level objectives define how well our systems must perform from the user's perspective. This is all about the user. And while a user story captures what to build and why we're building it, a service level objective shapes how good it must be. So when you ignore service level objectives during story planning, you're basically building a racing car without maybe checking the brakes. And yes, when the green lights are great, we're going to be off. That's going to be fantastic. But come the first corner, we're going to cause chaos. They're going to go straight through the kiddie litter, straight over something else, and to the medical tent we shall go. So here's what happens. You ship features that pass QA, but they can tank P95 latency. You're prioritizing shiny new features over fixing things that actually matter to the user. And my favorite is that you deliver technical solutions, which a lot of developers do, that look great in a sprint review, but they completely miss the mark with speed and stability or that user trust. And as our CEO said in that previous slide, customer trust is the most valuable business currency. So the bottom line is that if service level objectives aren't part of your planning process, then performance and reliability are being left to chance, and chance in and of itself is not a strategy, not for development teams that I manage. So performance and reliability are two things that are screaming out to you, and your service level objectives are speaking to you about performance reliability from the very start. So they will tell you where the system's pain is, and they will help you weigh the question of, do we build a new feature or do we invest in reliability? They will also throw up a red flag if your change is going to eat into an error budget. And here's an example. This is a real example from a previous team that I worked with when I was contracting. So service level objective says 95% of all API calls must complete within 300 milliseconds. And then a user story comes in that says that we're going to add a new synchronous call to a third-party service, which in and of itself made me quite ill. So one of the things we had to absolutely be sure that the development team understood, that the constraint, which is 95% of all API calls had to be completed within 300 milliseconds, that was front and center in the story. So we didn't wait for staging to find out that it was slow, and we didn't wait for the users to feel pain before we checked on that. So the service level objective is put front and center, and we then design for it. And that is how you stop development teams from building tech debt on arrival when it gets into production, which is just very frustrating. And that means we're going to start delivering features that respect reliability by default. So here's our user story. And this is the moment where we bake reliability right into the feature. So we're not just writing what the user wants. We want to write how fast it feels and how reliable it needs to be. So we're going to transform our acceptance criteria by integrating service level objective constraints right into it. And this simple addition makes user stories accountable as well as functional. And this isn't an added step, it's a fundamental way to deliver features that earn users' trust and allow operations teams, you guys, the SREs, to have peace of mind by default. So here's the thing, if we actually care about reliability, then acceptance criteria shouldn't just say that it works. It should say that it works fast, it works reliably, and that we can prove it in production. So that means referencing your service level objectives on latency, availability, error rates, right into the story. And you can specify a monitoring hook. For example, emit a span with a status code and a duration. And in my mind, even performance and fault simulation should also belong in those test requirements as well. So picture that as part of your user story. So our original user story was that, and now what we've done is we now have this. So we've gone from functional to observable to testable. And for me, that's the definition of done. I can sit with a developer in a code review, and we'll talk about that after the demo, about what that actually looks like and why that definition of done is very important. So how do we integrate service level objectives into our daily delivery process? First of all, we can tag user stories that impact latency, error rate, or uptime. We can highlight that these are not just features, but are vital to our user commitment. And we safeguard on our budgets and things like that. Secondly, which is a little bit harder, we can proactively schedule reliability work, and that's a hard sell for senior leadership team. But the antidote to it is that we don't wait then for failures. We create stories that enhance our system's health, because a consistent uptime is a deliberate team effort. The whole team has to be involved in this. And third, if we make service level objectives a focal point during sprint planning, so we ensure that they're visible, we ensure that they're discussed, and then we shift then from hope-based deployments, which is the reason why I'm bald, to insight-driven releases. That is the reason why I'm bald, I can tell you. Male pattern baldness has nothing to do with it. I have flown through this simply because I messed up at the very start, and we've got only 3 minutes to 12. So we're going to switch over to the OpenTelemetry demo is what we're going to do. So this is the OpenTelemetry.io website. In here is a fantastic resort for OpenTelemetry. If you come into the docs and into the demo and into Docker, it is a very simple setup here. You follow these instructions and it is very easy to do. What I have done is I pulled this, cloned this onto my machine. It's a very straightforward application. It mimics an e-commerce site. It has all of the code that is there and it's fully instrumented by the OpenTelemetry guys. Now, what I have done in the checkout service, which is written in Go, is I have extended this user story. And if I very quickly show you, this is the user story that we had previously, and I've extended it with service level objectives and acceptance criteria. Now, because I'm a really good developer and I really like SRE guys, what I've done is I've taken this and I've extended and created a developer-based user story. And the point of this is to ensure that as a developer within the development team is thinking about what SREs are going to have to deal with on the other side. So I want to make sure that this checkout service is fully instrumented end-to-end and all of the traces are there. So root cause analysis for you guys is going to be a lot easier because the trace information is going to be there. And as a tech lead, and I've been a tech lead for over 20 years, it is the responsibility of developers, in my case, to make sure that every single person within the team is working for the whole team. For those of you that don't know the OpenTelemetry collector, what it is a wonderful little service that's written by the OpenTelemetry team. And its job is to receive, process, and to export the telemetry data from the OpenTelemetry SDKs to whatever your backend is. And the backend in this particular case, I'm exporting it out into CoralLogix. So what I've done is I've taken the two user stories, and in my main file, I have taken the two user stories and put them into the code. And as a developer, I've looked at every single service level objective and all the acceptance criteria, and I have contrasted what work has been done using the OpenTelemetry instrumentation to ensure that I meet all of those service level objectives and that acceptance criteria. And as a tech lead, if I'm going through this with a developer in a code review, I will have an expectation that I'm going to see this. Because your job as SREs is site reliability engineering, and it's going to be made very difficult if you've got a group of developers who are prima donnas and think that the code that they write is so fantastic that it's never going to break. That's not the case. So it's incumbent upon us as developers to ensure that we are seeing ourselves as active team members, ensuring that you guys as SREs are supported by us. And one of the things that I'm doing in development then is, if I come down to here, this is the OpenTelemetry site running. And it's a very simple e-commerce site. You come in here, you can go shopping, and you can do all sorts of things and buy products, and that's great. So that's very straightforward. It comes with a feature flag, so you can generate synthetic errors so that you can actually see what those synthetic errors are going to look like. And this is a load generator that's also part of the demo application, and you can make it generate quite a lot of errors. As you can see, there's 55 users there, and there's quite a lot of failures. As I mentioned, I'm as old as the dinosaurs, and I always go straight to logs. This is the first thing that I did when I was working in network systems way back in the 90s. And this code is written in CoralLogix DSL, or domain-specific language data prime, which is for investigating our logs and traces. And the purpose of this, whilst I'm developing, is to make sure that I'm checking in the logs if there's any errors over 200 in status codes. And I've actually used this particular query then to develop a dashboard that straight away tells me that I am not meeting one of my service level objectives while I'm developing this. As you can see, the success rate percentage is 53%, but it's supposed to be 99.5. That's the expectation of what that's supposed to be in production, and I'm developing this and it's well done. So as a developer, I need to be thinking about what this is going to look like in production. As part of the service level objectives, we had seen that there was quite a lot of metadata that we wanted. And we have then here the order amount here, and we also have the items that are in the count. So we're making sure as part of our coding and our service level objectives are matching so that if you guys as SREs need this information whenever you are looking at a problem in production, it's there for you. And I can come in here and I can look at the P95 latency of the checkout service. Again, this is me as a developer confirming that I have in fact done my job. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap all of this up because I've obviously gone a little bit too far over this. Essentially what I'm trying to get across is that developers have an incumbent accountability and responsibility to ensure that they're working as part of a whole team, and that includes the SRE team as well. So if service level objectives are not something that your development team is currently working on, I would suggest asking the question of the development team, why are they not doing this? Because you're at the forefront of ensuring that the site has reliability, and it is a team effort. So I'm going to thank you very much for your patience and your time. So thank you very much for that. If you'd like to ask me some questions, that would be great. Thank you.